If you've ever wondered what I have in my kit. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Faye and I run Faye Wild Photography and Faye Wild Education, and this is my space for helping out other photographers whatever stage you're at in your business. Hopefully you're going to get a lot of value from being here and watching these videos. Today I'm going to be sharing all about my kit, every single thing in it. Yeah, it's a bit scary, like traveling with your entire everything with you, but yeah, I've got literally everything here for you. I'm going to talk you through what I use day to day, my non-negotiables, how I've curated my kit, which has changed quite a lot since I was a first beginning photographer. I'm going to also be throwing in some rogue items that you might not be expecting, but things that I use day to day in my photography business that I think could help you as well. So let's dive in. First thing that we're going to talk about is the camera bodies themselves. I did extensive research when I first started, and I found that Sony was probably going to be the best for me, not just in terms of speed and not missing moments, but also I'm quite petite. People are always quite surprised just how small I am. I'm just a little bit over 5 foot. My hands and my wrists are tiny, so things like Canon with the huge lenses, I just would not be able to hold those lenses and those cameras all day. Love the Canon colours, really love the vibe. Some of my favourite photographers like Ben Wheeler, Phoebe Jane Photo, they're Canon shooters. There's so many amazing Canon shooters that I could list. Love the colours, but my tiny little pathetic hands just can't handle it. So I now shoot on 2 Sony A7 IVs. When I first started, I had A7 IIIs. I traded it in at Wex. They said that it was the highest shutter count on both cameras that they'd ever seen, over 1 million frames shot between the two of them. A7 IIIs, they were on their last legs. I was noticing, particularly at destination weddings, that when I had second shooters that had the A7 IVs and above, the quality, because of the pixels, the ability to crop down, it was just so much better. So I justified changing over to the A7 IVs midway through the season last year, which was a bit crazy, but I thought I don't want to wait. I think I got back from a wedding in Florence that I did with the amazing Georgia Smith Photography, who's one of my most trusted second shooters. She's a dream. We got back from Florence and I was looking through her RAWs and I was just obsessed. Just being able to crop down because you had those extra pixels just made such a big difference, and I'm all about having more freedom in post. So I upgraded up to the A7 IVs. I've been shooting on them since and I absolutely love them. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is lenses, and this is a bit of a weird one because I actually got the G Master zoom lens last year, and I bought it because I had an incredible project in Got to Saint-Tropez, the lens didn't work, so I was fuming. Luckily, I had backups, so it was fine. Always take loads of backups whenever I'm working on a project. Got back, decided to upgrade to the G Master 2, and used that all summer last year. Absolutely loved it, obsessed. The quality, particularly with being outside doing destination weddings, I didn't need that super low f-stop. That was my go-to lens. So on my harness, I would have the 24-70 G Master 2 on one side and then a 50 or an 85 on the other side, because 85, as we're going to come on to in a minute, is king for me, especially during cocktail hour. Well, all day. It's my favourite lens, but it's not the most practical, which is why having the combo works really well. I'm currently saving up for the F2, which is basically the Canon F2 that's just come out, but I cannot wait to get that. My season has already started, but it doesn't get super busy until April, so I'm going to get it before April. So watch this space. I'm really excited. So in terms of lenses, the Nifty 50, so if you're a new photographer, this is a non-negotiable, especially if you're shooting on Sony, because this is so cheap. I think I paid £152 brand new for this lens. It's mid-focal length, you could get away with shooting a full session on this. You probably want to get a 35. If you're going to shoot prime, that's normally what people go for, but the 50 in terms of value for money is just mad. So when you've got lenses, you've got 2 main types of lenses. You've got zoom lenses and you've got prime lenses, and the main difference between the two is the focal length is either fixed for prime or you can change it for zoom lenses. At the moment, because I'm saving up for that F2 28-70 that I've just mentioned, I've only got primes in my collection. When I first started in wedding photography, most of the primes only went up to F4 in terms of aperture. You really weren't seeing anything on the market that was under f4. So for weddings, when you're inside and you're outside and the light's really, really low, f4 is just not cutting it. So when I first got into wedding photography, zoom lenses were not the choice. Unless you're outside the whole day, and even then, f4 is quite high. You're not going to get that dreamy bokeh vibe with an f4 lens. So I started on primes. I've gone through loads of different lenses to get to my core collection now. I started off on just standard lenses, and as the years have gone on, apart from my 50, which is still my trusty nifty 50, all the other ones are G Master lenses. So I've got my G Master 35. This is the newest lens to my collection. I was honestly like a kid at Christmas when I got this. I've been waiting to get this lens for ages. I'm always so jealous of my second shooters when they had this lens. So the 35 is now the one that I use for all portrait sessions. It's my go-to. Absolutely love it. The next lens in my collection, which is my favourite for like soul food work, is the 85. My favourite thing about this lens is how discreet you're able to be. Like, I love on a wedding day, like I can give direction and I can give prompts, but I actually love to blend into the background and be like secretive on the side. The candids that you're able to get with something like an 85 are just incredible. You can sneak off, and also in terms of shooting through things, the bokeh, or the, how do you even pronounce that word? The bokeh or the bokeh, or however you pronounce it, doesn't get better than on an 85. Like, this lens, it is just what dreams are made of. And for things like veil play, and yeah, there's just so many different uses for this lens. But my favourite thing is shooting through things, but also being really, really subtle in the background. Also for things like speeches, and also for things like ambient light. So I just had a wedding a few weeks ago. It was the 8th of Feb, and it was all candlelight. You don't want to be going into a candlelit speeches dinner setup and shooting flash. It's just going to ruin the vibe. Also for things like ceremony, I don't want to be flashing. It's going to be distracting from the moments that are going on. So something like an 85, you're still going to have lots of noise in the images, but it's just going to soften it up so much that you can still save those images and they still look really dreamy in post. I actually got hooked onto the 85 a couple of summers ago because, weirdly, last year was super, super grey and rainy, like at every wedding. But the year before, it was really bright, and I got onto the 85 because I just felt like when it's direct sun, the 85 is the only lens that can diffuse it and make it look really good without you having to change where you are. So like on a 35, for example, if you can move so that the subject, the person that you're photographing shadow, is touching you, that's fine. You can, get your subjects to be backlit, you can soften up the light that way. But it doesn't always work like that. You might be stuck in a certain space in a ceremony, you might see a moment happening and you don't have time to get into position to get that from the right angle in terms of where the sun is. Whereas an 85, you just seem to have a little bit more flexibility with the quality, no matter where the sun is. So yeah, 35, 85, name a more iconic duo, because I don't think that's like the wedding photographer beginner starter kit for primes, I would say. And then the 50, so another advantage to the 50, which I didn't mention, but I will now, is how small it is. As I said before, I've got really small wrists, and I do actually get RSI quite a lot, especially after editing quite late at night. So sometimes I like to put my 50 on for a bit, just to give my wrists a break. No detriment to the photos, it's a gorgeous lens, and it's been voted quite a few times like the most flattering focal length for faces. So I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on Instagram where it's comparing like all the different focal lengths, but most people prefer their face with a 50 focal length or a 28. Those are like the two most popular. So yeah, that's that. So moving on from, we've got cameras and we've got lenses, and now I'm going to go on to flash. When I first started, I had Godox flashes, and I think I started off with a V8 100 or whatever it is, and then I moved on to a Godox V1. With everything you'll see, there's pairs, right? So I've got 2 cameras, 2 flashes, 4 lenses. I should mention as well, this Sigma 35, the Sigma Art 35, is the one that I used for ages because my photographer, like for my own wedding, it was her favourite lens. So when I got into wedding photography, I got that one. It's a lot cheaper than the Sony G Masters, but it's meant to be like pretty much identical. So I've kept that in my kit as a backup because you should always really have like 2 of the main focal length that you want to use. And because I love architecture and the way that I shoot, I love to shoot quite wide or quite cropped. If my 85 broke, I could get away with using a 50 and moving. If my 35 broke, I'm not going to be happy shooting a full wedding down a 50. Like, I'm going to miss moments, I'm going to miss details. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. So I keep the Sigma in my bag as a backup, and I would always recommend that you've got either a zoom as a backup, even if it's the 28-70 kit lens that comes with the Sony cameras, just make sure you've got 2 of that focal length, because if something does happen to it, you don't want to be stuck. Another good thing that you could do is make sure that you're working with second shooters that shoot on the same kit as you, not just because it's going to make your life a lot easier when you come to edit, but also because if anything goes wrong with your kit, you can use their kit as a backup as and when. Flashes. So I've got 2 Profoto A10s now. These are just the easiest flashes to use. On the workshops, we normally do like little flash sections where we teach people how to use the Godoxes and like other manual flashes and other types of flashes. With the Profoto, they're so user-friendly. It honestly takes 10 minutes to learn how to use them, and then it's all gravy. Like, it doesn't get easier than that. I used to get anxious about my kit breaking. Now I've got 2 of everything, and I've got second shooters that shoot on the same kit, so I don't get anxious. And I guess that would be my biggest bit of advice. If you know that things are causing you anxiety, just put extra precautions in place, and then that anxiety will fly away. There's a lot that we can't control in weddings, but things like having enough backups, that's definitely something that you can do, not just to put your mind at rest and help you to relax, but also it's just fair on your couples. You're going to be able to perform no matter if your kit's playing up, because nobody ever plans for their kit to break, but if it does, you've got a backup. So when I first started in weddings, I started with Godox flashes, which were fine, fit for purpose. They're not the cheapest, they're not the most expensive, but they are one of the most popular. You always seem to see photographers with those flashes. As soon as I could afford it, I went on to a Profoto, and I had a Profoto as my main and then a Godox as a backup. And then last year, I managed to find one secondhand from the lovely Rebecca Carpenter, who moved to Canon. So yeah, I've now got 2 Profotos, and it's really good. It's also good because if I've got a second shooter that is shooting on a Godox, I can give them my other Profoto. And also you can buy the batteries separate as well. So in my little fanny pack, I've just got an extra Profoto battery as well, which is really handy. Speaking of batteries, so the Sony batteries are quite expensive. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm supposed to recommend this, but I will because I've never had any issues with them. I got the Analogue battery pack off Amazon, which I'll link below. It's a dual charger and you get 2 batteries in it. I've got 2 of these, and on wedding days I normally have about 8 batteries. So in summer, I don't know what it is about the heat, there's probably some science behind this, but in summer your batteries drain so fast. I don't think it's always professional to have all your kit plugged in and charging. A lot of the venues that I work in now anyway, you're not allowed to plug stuff in and charge them. Venues can be quite pernickety about what you're doing and what you're plugging into the walls, which is totally fair enough. But I just like to have loads and loads of batteries, and then even if my second shooters only got a few or they've not got them handy, we've just got them there. And I guess that's a bit of random advice, but I think the tidier you can be when you do go into venues, it does make a good impression. I never think it's a good vibe when you go in, no shade to any videographers at all or like any other photographers, but when there's just people's stuff everywhere, I don't think it's a good look. And also security wise, like you've got your bag wide open, so taking extra batteries, it's just an easy way to make sure that your kit's all safe, but also that you're making a good impression with there because you're not putting your mess everywhere. Obviously if there's a special room, that's great, but like how often do we get a whole room to put our stuff in? Like it's very rare, even in the loveliest venues. So in terms of storing batteries on the day, I normally have more batteries in my bag, but then I'll use this. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a little hard case, and it stores in it 2 batteries and up to 4 memory cards. And it's really good because it's got these little toggles which you can move. So if the battery's dead, you put the battery in, you can say that the battery's dead, and then you know which ones to swap out when you go to your bag on your break. This is really good because it's water resistant and it's a hard case, so if you drop them, your batteries are still protected. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about in terms of the wedding day is how I hold my cameras. So if I've got an elopement or a motherhood shoot, or it's a city wedding at Marylebone Town Hall, for example, where I'd only be using one camera, still have another one in my bag, but only use one just for security more than anything, but also it's easier moving around. This is a strap that I got from Peak Design. It's an amazing strap. It's got these little toggles that you've got on your camera, and then it literally just clips in and off, but you can keep those toggles on your camera at all times, which is really easy. For a full day wedding, I'm probably going to be using my harness. So this is from Desired Leather. It's actually got my old logo on it at the moment, but your cameras get strapped on either way. and it's really good because you can just lift one up. But then if you're doing anything else like content creation, BTS, your cameras are safe. The thing that I love about this one is it's really, really durable. Like I say, I've shot hundreds of weddings now, and it's never failed on me. You've also got this safety strap, which is really important. So it basically screws in to the bottom of your camera, but you don't realise how much you're hitting it, and the amount of times that the safety strap has stopped the camera from falling on the floor. And it's not just the camera that is at risk, it's the lens, because the lens is normally the thing that gets broken when you drop your camera, not this. Touch wood, I've only ever broken one lens, but I've had friends that have lost loads of money over the years dropping lenses. So I'd really, really recommend this. It's really quite tidy. It's also a good indicator of when it's time to go home, because as soon as people start trying to pick you up and, you know, suggesting that it looks a bit naughty, you're like, yeah, it's probably time for me to leave. So we've covered cameras, we've covered lenses, we've covered flashes, we've covered harnesses, and we've covered batteries and storage of batteries. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is bags. So I've got two bags that I use. You can see this one is this one, in hindsight, a lighter colour, probably with the amount of work that I do, was not the best idea, but lilac is one of my favourite colours and I was a sucker for it, so there you go. These are both by a brand called One. It's an absolutely amazing brand. When I first started in photography, I just had one from Amazon and it did the job and it was fine. As soon as I could invest, I got these. I started off with the big one, and then for things like elopements and destination weddings, I went for this one. You can get little cubes that go inside to help you organise your kit, which I'd really recommend. The good thing about them as well is that they're water resistant, and also the back of them, I don't know what the equivalent is for ergonomic, or even if you can use the phrase ergonomic in this context, but the quality of this is just absolutely insane. It's so comfortable, and when you've got kilos and kilos of weight on your back, just having that extra comfort is so good. I also think it looks really smart. They're so comfortable and they're in such good condition, and I've never ever had to worry about my laptop getting broken or my kit getting broken. They're so tidy and so sturdy, and you can tell that the materials are really, really high quality, which is really important to me. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is sort of rogue items, random items that you might not have thought about yet, but things that I've got a solid place in my kit that I use all the time. The first thing is this. I got this last year because the amount it was raining, I genuinely was worried that my kit was going to drown, because I say this all the time, but I did like 70 weddings last year and only 5 of them it didn't rain at any point during the day. It was mad. So this is a really, really easy bit of kit that you can squeeze into your bag. This bit has got a toggle on it. You just put it around your lens, and then it just protects your kit that way. And then some other things that are a bit niche but that I use all the time. These are actually spectacle and lens wipes. From experience, glasses wipes tend to be a lot better than camera wipes. Don't know why, but I feel like they self-dry, there's no leftover residue, and I actually use these for my own glasses because I'm blind and it really bugs me. I've got loads of bits all over my glasses, and I just started using them on my camera lenses, and they're really, really good, really recommend. Another thing that I use nearly every wedding is tights, and these are actually pop socks that I just put over my lens to give it a filmy effect. So if a couple haven't invested in film but they still want some vintagey vibe looks, you can get these again from Amazon. They're really, really good. I got a pack of 12, and I'll just use them until they get a bit holy, and then I'll chuck it away. And the good thing is that because they're in pairs, you only need one, so a packet will actually last you a really long time. So the next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is leads and cables. Even though this is predominantly for destination, because it is a multi-adapter, it is actually really good to use in the UK because it acts as an extension lead. You can plug in the UK version, but then you've got a USB-C lead and 2 USB plugs. So especially when you're staying in older hotels that don't have loads and loads of plugs, something like this is really good because most of your leads can still fit into it. So I'd really, really recommend that. In terms of editing on the go, I take my MacBook everywhere with me, and I back up images 2 ways. So I back them up on these SSDs. I used to, when I first started, I used the Lassie hard drives, which are the really famous orange ones. The issue with those hard drives is they've got a moving part in them, so they're quite easy to damage. And in the first year or two, I actually had a couple corrupt on me, which caused a lot of stress at the time. Luckily, I've always been really vigilant about how I back up my images, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in a moment. But a friend actually recommended moving on to these. So the price varies depending on how quick you want the download and upload speeds to be. But I really, really, really rate these. They're tidy, they're really easy to use, and they're really fast. I haven't always paid for the faster ones. I normally pay for the slow ones out of season, and then when it gets to August, I've got a few like super fast ones that I use just because I might be doing back-to-back weddings or whatever. But yeah, they're really, really good. And another thing is just some wireless headphones. For security, these are not like all singing, all dancing, and it's a bit sad as to why. And I think it's just as a woman traveling with so much kit on my back, I just don't feel safe using noise cancelling headphones. And it's really sad that we even have to think about those things. But for security, these ones are really good. I can listen to my music on quiet, but I can still hear and keep my wits about me when I'm walking around on my own with all my kit on my back. And another thing that I do as well is I never share where I am in real time. If you ever see my stories, it's probably from the day before, or I've already left the hotel that I've tagged, or, you know, something like that, because you just can't be too silly. Like, if you are sharing as a wedding photographer on your wedding photographer page, I'm at this hotel, they know that you're there for a wedding, you've got all your kit on your back, you never know who's watching your stories, what their intentions are. Just keep your wits about you and consider not sharing where you are until after you've left. Just something to think about so that you can relax a little bit more when you are wherever you need to be. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is my film camera collection. So I've actually probably got like 12 or 13 film cameras now, a mix of point and shoots and manual. My favourite two for weddings are actually point and shoots. I do have an Olympus OM10, and I recently have been looking into getting a Leica fully manual system, which I'll link the video down below because it's been quite an interesting experience so far. But yeah, so my favourite two at the moment are my Olympus Mewtwo. I always feel like, if you're a Pokemon fan, you'll know. But yeah, I always feel weird saying Mewtwo. And also my Leica point and shoot as well. And then for film, actual film, it's usually Kodak Gold, Portra 400 or Portra 800. They're my faves. I'll also link some film stock recommendations below and a helpful blog post that I recently did where I was comparing different film stocks and showing you the results with each one as well. The last few things to mention. A speaker is a non-negotiable. This is a Wonderboom. Really good because you can just chuck it into the pool and it's waterproof, but also if you've got clips on your bag, you can clip it on your bag or on your harness as well. And the good thing about the desired leather harness is it's got loads of these little bits so you can clip stuff on with, is it crank clip? Oh God, I've got no idea. Whatever those clips are called that you use for camping, you can use those and it's really good. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about, which is probably my favourite bit of kit, just for those edgy, bougie shots, is my drone. I first flew a drone in Lake Como when I went for one of the Feywild workshops a couple of years ago. I've got no idea how we didn't crash it. There was like 4 of us up in the sky. It was like me, Ross Hurley, Brown Films and Joe Kinnaman, and they were so patient with me because I had no idea what I was doing, and they were showing me the ropes and showing me how to use them. Shout out to the boys, legends. And now it's like my favourite bit of kit for destination in particular, but also anything outdoor in the UK as well. It's just we don't always have the weather because obviously if it's windy or it's raining, we don't get to use it, which is a massive shame. I've got the DJI 4. I love this because of the app. It's really easy to get the files from the drone onto your phone really quickly and share them onto things like stories. So for content creation as well, it's brilliant. When I bought this drone, I really would recommend getting this, as in the remote, not the one where you've got to use your phone for it. This just makes your life so much easier. Also, I recommend getting loads of extra batteries so that you're not having to worry about charging things up. And you also get this cute little bag with it as well when you get the extra combo with like all the batteries and stuff. So yeah, in a nutshell, this is all my kit, and it feels weird like seeing it all out. It feels like so much more than it is because it all fits into this one, like everything here, apart from the drone, one 31 litre 100 bag, which is actually a bit mental, but amazing, but a bit mental. So yeah, that's it. In a nutshell, that's my kit. If you've got any questions, please leave them down in the comments. Do consider subscribing. I'll be adding loads to this channel over the next few months, and I'm excited to take you all along with me whilst I dive into my best season yet.